I am absolutely delighted and honored to have with us today the Chief Executive Officer of Thomson Hospital, Kota Damansara, and the Group Chief Executive Officer of TMC Life Sciences Berhad, Nadiah Wan. Good afternoon, Nadiah, and thank you so much for joining us today. And congratulations on being named as one of Forbes Asia Power Businesswomen of 2021, the youngest and the only Malaysian on that list. Congratulations. So Nadiah, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you run the hospital and run the group as well.
Previous group CEO was Singaporean, and I think they felt that it would be good to have a Malaysian hold the post. So 2 years after I joined TMC as the hospital CEO and the chief corporate officer, board appointed me as executive director and group CEO for the listed holding company as well.
So if I can just go back again to the hospital, I mean, could you talk a little bit about what you're doing there and the kind of direction it's taking?
Basically, TMC Life Sciences has like 4 main subsidiaries. So we have hospitals, we have fertility branches and ambulatory care, I would say. We have retail pharmacy and we have Chinese medicine. Obviously, the 2 biggest contributors on the hospital side and fertility. For the hospitals in general, the strategy has been, we don't have many hospitals, but where we have hospitals, they're big and they're comprehensive and they're flagship. So it's something more like Bumrung Rad rather than, Columbia, Asia. And the reason is because I think in healthcare, what we see is the trend is diverging. So you either need hyper specialist care, things like cancer, nuclear medicine, things like that, or it's moving more towards outpatient day surgeries, ambulatory at-home monitoring. And we can see that very clearly in COVID, where you have people who are infected and they can be monitored at home and you only come to the hospital when you need it. In this way, you kind of manage the sustainability of the cost of medical inflation.
And you talked about, the obesity problem in Malaysia. That is true, isn't it? We do have an obesity problem.
Yes, I think in terms of obesity and diabetes, we are the worst in ASEAN. I think 1 in 4 people are actually obese if you just look at the BMI calculation. And there are a lot of undiagnosed diabetics that actually are walking around in the population. And this is where the conversation with policymakers are coming to the fore, because when you have underlying comorbidities and then you get hit by something like COVID, the outcome is a lot worse, the care is a lot more expensive.
What were the main elements of a healthcare reform agenda?
I think looking at the payer, which is both on the private and also public insurance, because it's not sustainable for us to continue the way we are. It should be that the government subsidizes the patients wherever they go, regardless of the institution they're seeking care from, rather than specifying that if you go to this one particular hospital, then it's fully subsidized. If you go to the other hospital, it's not. That doesn't make sense. Secondly, I think it's about regulation, looking at the changes that are happening in medicine and how the regulators can keep up. And it's not just the Ministry of Health. That's what I want to emphasize here. A lot of what we talk about in health, and you can see that in COVID, actually spans a lot of different ministries.
Nadiah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And thank you so much for spending the time.
Thank you, Dr. Sharon and MIDF.